So they would release it if they thought it made the FBI agents look bad, right? As if they were rummaging through things and making a mess and not being professional in their approach.
Correct. So look, one of the things that Trump's legal team is now probably not good. But one of the things that Trump's legal team right now is researching, and they keep talking about it, is instituting a Fourth Amendment claim, which is, unreasonable searches and seizures against the FBI based upon what Trump described as, and this is great, I love his wording, the raid of his home as atrocities being perpetrated by the FBI and the Department of Justice. And then he, of course, accuses law enforcement of destroying our country. It's truly amazing. Talk about deflection. Donald then goes on to conclude with a major motion. I like, those adjectives. A major motion pertaining to the Fourth Amendment will soon be filed concerning the illegal break-in of my home, Mar-a-Lago. Now, look, Alex, we've talked about this a lot, right? The liar in chief is at it again. First, let me be very clear. And many of the people that come on your show and come on MSNBC and all media, they keep calling it his home. It is not his home. It is a social club with hundreds and hundreds of members. All right. Second, what do we know? That it was a lawful raid predicated on a search warrant that was signed off by a magistrate. And lastly, this is the best one, that we have the Trumps claiming that they're going to release the video footage, right? He knows that if he does that, it will refute the allegations that he's raising here, because what it'll show is that the FBI, like what they did to me and I'm talking about firsthand knowledge now, they were professional, they were courteous, and they were respectful of the property. And I could assure you that they were exactly the same way at Mar-a-Lago.
And they certainly know they're dealing with a former president of the United States. I mean, come on, the implication that they would be anything but professional. Let me ask you about
so Alex, one of the things that Trump is trying to do here, right, is Trump likes to play the victim again and again and again, right? So, so that this greasy grifter, right, will fundraise off of it, which we're seeing him doing on a daily basis. While that raid was going on, my cell phone probably got 4 or 5 emails and text messages. Hey, friend, you're not going to believe what's going on here. They're raiding, my dad's home. And it's just amazing. And I don't even know how many millions that they must have fundraised so far off of this.
Yeah, well, it's definitely into the millions, that's for sure. Let's talk about the Trump attorney, Christina Bobb, who talked about the security at Mar-a-Lago. Listen to what she had to say about it, Michael.
Mar-a-Lago is secure in and of itself. Just getting onto the compound is hard. And then it was a locked door, and getting, back down into the basement, there's security. You can't just walk down there. Only certain members of staff can get there, and then there's only one key. So, yes, it's a very limited number of people that have access down there. And it was enough to where President Trump believed, or our team believed, that it was secure enough. They asked for one more lock, add another lock, which we did. And then, for whatever reason, they decided that they still needed to raid the place.
So moving even past that, News Nation reports, Michael, that the top secret classified documents were found in former President Trump's office above the ballroom and a storage room off an interior hallway near the pool. And the Washington Post reports the pool is a major part of this social scene, to what you've described it earlier at this resort, and a focal point of activity as part of Mar-a-Lago's day-to-day business. So, look, you've been there dozens of times. Give me a sense of how secure you think these documents were.
Not secure at all, which is why the magistrate signed off on this warrant, this unprecedented warrant. Let me tell you, the ballroom, there are thousands of people a week that go into the ballroom and getting upstairs. Who's sitting there monitoring the staircase to take you upstairs to Donald's office? The whole thing is a joke. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not competent, which is another problem that Donald has. She's not a competent attorney, especially competent in this area when you're dealing with a former president of the United States that's violating the law by taking documents and placing them. First of all, you shouldn't have them in the first place, but even still placing them in an unsecured area. And that's, again, forget about the fact that it was secured, unsecured. He's not supposed to have them. But Donald doesn't care about that because the rules don't apply to him. They only apply to you and me.
Well, here's what he thinks. NBC News is reporting Trump thinks the Mar-a-Lago search is going to help him in 2024. And the day after federal agents searched that resort, former President Trump told a group of conservative lawmakers, quote, being president was hell. That's according to 3 people at that meeting, Michael. But to some, he sounded ready to have the job again. You have Congressman Randy Weber saying that he was not to be deterred. However, some of his allies also believe he's kind of shrugging off these legal issues too quickly. And you've repeatedly said Trump will not run for president in 2024. Do you still stand by that?
I still stand by it. I do not believe Donald will run in 2024. He knows statistically that he cannot win. His fragile ego will not permit him to be a 2-time loser, whether it's to Joe Biden or to somebody else. He just can't have it. And more importantly, again, the greasy grifter will end up losing, all of this money that's coming into him based upon, the big lie and based upon his ongoing continuous playing as the victim of every single thing that's going on in America.
Yeah. Got to get to Alan Weisselberg with you here. Of course, the former CFO of the Trump Organization pleaded guilty, as you know, to 15 felony counts on Thursday. Prosecutors say that he failed to pay millions of taxes and helped top Trump executives do the same for more than a dozen years. So he faces 5 months in jail, millions in penalties, by the way. And you were interviewed quite a few times by New York prosecutors in this case. So how instrumental do you think your testimony may have been? And are you satisfied justice has been served? Because there's more to come.
Yeah, so that's a very loaded question. First of all, the district attorney came to visit me at FCI Otisville in upstate New York 3 times. They thought it was important enough. When I was ultimately returned after the second, the unconstitutional remand that I am now suing the U.S. government, Trump and Bill Barr on, after that, I met again at least another 9-10 times with the district attorney's office, all regarding this. They have documents. I have gone through hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of documents with them that all show this ongoing, continuous scheme, this same scheme that I referenced when I was before the House Oversight Committee 2 years before that. So do I think that Alan's sentence is justified? Do I think that it's proportionate or disproportionate sentencing? 5 months for 15 years, millions of dollars. He was involved in the scheme. All right. Do I think? Well, no, I don't, to start. Though I'm certain that none of your viewers would want to spend even an hour over at Rikers, which looks like where he's going to go. It's not a nice place, and he's not going to have an easy time there. But one of the things that he is required to do, he is required to testify at the upcoming hearing, which is slated for October of this year against the Trump Organization. Now, there's so much conversation, Alex, about whether or not he's going to testify against Donald Trump. I don't see how it's possible that he doesn't. Here's the reason why. The Trump Organization is Donald's eponymous company. Nothing, and I've said this now for 4 or 5 years on television, before Congress, nothing goes on at the Trump Organization that Donald Trump is not, and I repeat, is not intimately aware of and involved in. So what's he going to do? He's going to pick and choose what questions he's going to answer? That's not the way that this is going to work. And if the prosecutors from the DA's office, if District Attorney Alvin Bragg does not ask him the very specific questions that I can throw out, in the next 3 minutes to you, that would really bury Trump and so many others, it would be a dereliction of his duty. There's no other way to describe it.
Michael Cohen, sadly, I'm out of time because I could talk with you forever, but let me just give another quick plug to the book because we're all waiting for that one. You're going to come back in October when this thing gets released. Michael Cohen, Revenge, How Donald Trump Weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice Against His Critics. That's going to be one heck of a read. Michael Cohen, my friend, thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Alice. And trust me, it's a good read.
I bet. All right. Well,